fire out.
They screaming peace when there ain't no peace. Israel prophesying in the streets. Look at me, the center of attention. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. Coming with a vengeance. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. They screaming peace, it ain't no peace. We prophesying in the streets. We seeking peace in the streets of Babylon. Brandishing Glock 40, tucking heat like a carry-on. Sinning against the fathers, got us sleeping, not napping on. Christ the King revealed this aerial phenomenon. Kicking against the bricks, lose your soul when that fire comes. We purify better than gold, got my Bible on. And that's all that I know, we're in Babylon. Gon' fall, watch it blow, ayy. Switching it up, then they just gon' drink it. I'm talking the cup, don't care what you thinking. Believe in the gospel, a God is thinking. The fires of heaven gon' gather for dinner. The ear of the flesh, the wicked, the sinner. Your mama, your sister, your daddy, your cousin. If they issue, if they mind, they don't repent. They screaming peace when there ain't no peace. Israel prophesying in the streets. Look at me, the center of attention. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. Coming with a vengeance. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. They screaming peace, it ain't no peace. We prophesying in the streets.
Iuic, see we in the streets with it. Beasts with it, kings and the priests with it. My people sleeping, got them dreaming in the sheets with it. So we spit that holy fire, bringing heat with it. We out here fighting for better days. Most sins make better slaves. Gotta come together on the 7th day. Lose 11 and I levitate. 1 plus 11 heaven gates. 12 tribes, no reprobates. Kingdom come, I can never wait. But the patient saints never separate. Christ coming back with a legion of them angels. Picture perfect prophecies, trying to find my angle. Hung up from a tree and they watch his body dangle. So the vengeance of the Lord coming down, you in danger.
They screaming peace when there ain't no peace. Israel prophesying in the streets. Look at me, the center of attention. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. Coming with a vengeance. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. They screaming peace, it ain't no peace. We prophesying in the streets.
Golden wedges of a fear. Look at here, we the prophets of the Most High, the only God I fear. Killing your career as a Christian, shed a tear. Jesus take the wheel, I'ma let the scripture steer. Joseph interpret dreams, but I don't think he could imagine it. See, to the last days, Jacob told him this would happen.
And we letting loose, we some loose cannon. Patient saints on the scene, and this kingdom we commanding. Purple and gold, no LeBron James. With King Christ, we gon' see better days. Now you not free cause you got money, you a slave. The Most High on his throne, beholding all thy ways. They screaming peace when there ain't no peace. Israel prophesying in the streets. Look at me, the center of attention. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. Coming with a vengeance. Black Messiah, coming with a vengeance. They screaming peace, it ain't no peace. We prophesying in the streets.
Mr. Israel, bring that fire out.
This entrepreneur brand logo was done by a top freelancer on Fiverr. Is simply
I feel blessed, got good people in my life, but still I pay love, even though sometimes we fight. Sometimes, but me not change up, no, me not change up, no. But me not change up, oh no, me not change up, no way. Never could have trust in a boy. If you can't go to the thick thing, then you not qualify. Then not qualify. Never drop your guard around the boy. Only do that with the people, them where you not bonify, my youth. Watch them, the one time you deny them when them ask something, you want know them friend. Bad breed, them a problem. Yeah. What to feed you, that snare, circle and stay far from them. Small crew, nah, me no need enough. Nah, true friends stay with you when it time rough. A real friend don't turn them back. Always keep it real and don't put on a act. No act. Oh, you fit turn your back on your people. Why some people so evil? Watch for the snake, don't make them deceive you. Oh, rain down fire upon you. I feel blessed, got good people in my life, but still I pay love, even though sometimes we fight. Sometimes,
Remember the struggle when me have a water coming on me eye. Nothing can face us. Me brother Malachi used to cook me banana and oil. Depression never break us. We face the tribulation every day, but we never know why. While everybody hates us, we still a wake up in the morning and press the most high. Just send a blessing it and rain on me. Militant soldier in the army, and he bless me with the laws and the testimony. Some go and know the faith and give
I feel blessed, got good people in my life, but still I pay love, even though sometimes we fight. Sometimes, but me not change up, no. Me not change up, no. But me not change up, oh no. Me not change up, no way.
I coulda anywhere we go, we not change 'cause we never grow so. Liquor dirty junk up, them a change like lizard like them never know you. No for them my friend fi an occasion. Them against the truth, them turn pagan. Them a cockroach jaw fi the bacon. Betray man, them a roll with Satan. Please me, I beg you, judge, watch you over me. Protect my soul from my enemies. Them want to see me, then them want to see the best of me. Them want me 6 foot deep down in the cemetery. Please me, I beg you, judge, watch you over me. Protect my soul from my enemies. Them want to see me, then them want to see the best of me. Them want me 6 foot deep down in the cemetery.
I feel blessed, got good people in my life, but still I pay love, even though sometimes we fight. Sometimes, but me not change up, no. Me not change up, no. But me not change up, oh no. Me not change up, no way.
Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me. Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me. Champion sound, king me. They want me in cuffs, enough is enough, free me. I'm calling your bluff, you ain't no Greek, ski-wee. Oops, not Q's, not nukes. Cargos, black boots, you know what to do, salute. Wartime excellence. Be strong in the power of his might. Out of darkness in the light. Gold streets in my sight. Who's the king? Christ. Who am I, Israelite? You know what that mean, right? You're giving me the crown of life. Hot. Go rolling through the fire. Purge out my impurities as I do what's required. Light it up, take me higher. Level 12 ain't high enough. 144,000 riders right behind him when he crown the kings. Know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me. Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me.
Crown the kings, the Lord is King of kings. We kings and priests stricken, this theme is black extreme is. Media blackout, Christ he black, we bringing it back out. Daniel 10:6, Revelation 1:14, that Jesus white bread slice. Still in the forefront, same trying to push to the background. Still the truth gon' cover the earth like Feast of Tabernacle campground. Come against it, be happily found and be fighting against God. Stand down. Yo, Dr. Twiz long, see how you still selling that. Yo, Dr. Twiz long, see why they still buying it. It's bland and it's tasting twisted. Okay, you don't see me, but it's beneficial. The line stop right here at Mason Dixon. Hold the line. Free me. Exodus 5 and 1 repeat. Luke 174 3D. With my glasses at GP. Crown me.
Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me. Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I proud of me.
This right here is so electric. Country bumpkin, wake 'em up, narcoleptic. In pain to be delivered like we expected. Crown my king and yes he black, y'all gon' accept it. Give me a minute. Country Kings always in the building. You're super blind and can't see the vision. I think you lost focus on the mission. Yeah, we making hits back to back like Alabama and Mississippi. Twin crowns for the twin states. God promised us to get the gates. This that dirty. This the streets where kings were made. Where we picked a whole field of cotton while the white man was sipping lemonade. Crown is back where it belongs. Yeah, the South got something to say. Turn up the heat. Country Kings ruling over our enemy.
Crown the kings. Crown the kings. Know what I mean? Crowns and rings. Crowns and rings. Country grammar sound serene. Wash them clean. Drip that water. Southern smoke. I went for broke. I'm proud of me. Crown the kings. Crown the kings, know what I mean? Crowns and rings. Crowns and rings, country grammar sound serene. Watch them clean, drip that water, southern smoke. I went for broke, I'm proud of me.
Crown the king with the founder things. Oops, I mean finer things. I'm a king, I ain't trying to bling, but my light shine like a diamond ring. My rhyming scheme so futuristic, for you to get it, need a time machine. Platinum crown with the green stones, a son to call them lima beans. This burrow, right? I'm melting ice, my gum is dripping pearl white. These matching braces with these platinum swirls tight. Stay fresh to death, prepare to rule the world, right? I'm that bread third type. That be posted at your corner stores with everything you wanna know. Got preset packs and fly stacks in my Bible strap like Geronimo. Babylon is gonna blow, then all hail the King of Kings. He gon' soon the throne and his rule is long, and the 12 tribes gon' bling and bling.
Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. Hey, I'm Officer Mike out of Houston Camp.
And I'm Officer Otniel.
And this is Daily Bread, Daily Bread. All right, Israel. All right. I hope y'all ready for another Daily Bread class. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and send up the prayer. So brothers, uncover your heads, and sisters, cover your head.
Israel, blow trumpet. Trumpet down. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Lord, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the power and the glory and the kingdom forever. Amen.
Praises, all praise. We're going to go ahead and read the disclaimer.
Y'all gonna blow that up for me today? 'Cause that's all I'm working with. We are Israel United in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity. You took my, against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1 of the King James Version Bible.
All right, all praises, all praises. So
IT excited over there, man.
all praise. We appreciate the brother being here this morning. All right, so this is another daily bread. So I hope y'all feeling, pretty good this morning. Once again, I enjoyed the Sabbath. We had some visitors down. We had a good time out here in Houston.
Yes, we did.
All praise to the Most High. We're constantly growing at IUIC, every congregation. All right, because the truth is growing. The truth is being spreaded throughout the four corners of the earth. Leadership doing a great job. And they endow us, as leaders to continue to come out and do the work as well. So
you can see that with all these different platforms they're coming out with now. There's a lot of talk about the Israelites right now. A lot of talk about that.
Right.
So.
And the leadership doing a great job, man. Like for instance, the television thing, you know.
Right.
I think that thing is so big. All right, so that's to bring out more content to the nation. All right, so today we're gonna go over single females and their effeminate sons. See, all this type of stuff we're gonna continue to go over, and to continue to wake up our people to come out of these type of situations in these states and to get right with the Most High, line up with His commandments, and you know how to carry yourself.
Right.
That's the whole thing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, you see this content, you see these discussions taking place on these different platforms now.
Right.
So we need to bring the Bible-based understanding of these issues and these problems. Bring that to the people so they can figure out how to solve these problems.
Right, that's true. When you said that, you made me think about one, the content of the video and the article we have today, and like the bishop and all the other teachers do. They bring out all these different content that the world have knowledge on and how they view things, but we bring it biblical.
Yeah, people are starting to see that these things are an issue.
Right.
These things are an issue, and they're struggling with how to solve it, and we've got the answers right here in the Bible.
Right, that's right. That's right. All praise to the Most High. All right, so we're going to open up with a video with this sister. She's going over the single mothers. And actually, she really get specific when she say, like, the single black women and the way that they're raising their sons.
Right.
So we got that ready? Okay, so we're going to listen in on this right quick, Israel. You good?
Reasoning and so many things.
How's the volume on that?
You can't find any type of understanding. Before you sat and read it and really sat there and thought about it, you objected to it because you felt some kind of way about it. I mean, if you are the ones raising sons and the father is gone and he ain't this and he ain't that, then why we got so many problems with our boys?
Stop that right there. Hold that. Pause that.
With our boys because
and go back a couple of seconds because I want to hear it. I didn't really hear it clear, but I want to make sure that the audience is paying attention to what she just said right there. She's basically saying if single women are responsible for raising these kids, why are there so many problems?
Right.
Rita, I mean, take it back a couple of seconds and start it over.
Find any type of understanding. Before you sat and read it and really sat there and thought about it, you objected to it because you felt some kind of way about it. I mean,
yeah, you good right there.
If you are the ones raising sons and the father is gone and he ain't this and he ain't that, then why we got so many problems with our boys? We have problems with our boys because we have problems with these mothers.
Whoa.
But you don't want to admit it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to acknowledge it. You don't want to read an article that can help us get better at doing what we do. Instead, you want to read it and be upset about it. You know, and I know some of you men are reading it and you feel like the article is telling you that you're not a man because your mother raised you. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is that you're at a disadvantage for sure if your mother raised you. I ain't never met a man who told me that his mother raised him and she raised him to be a man. I've met men that said that their mother raised him and he knows how to clean a house. I met a man that told me his mother raised him and he know how to cook. I know a man who said that his mother or grandmother or someone raised him and he knows how to treat women. But I've never met a man, me just personally, who said, you know what, I'm a man because my mother raised me to be a man.
Wow.
She can try.
You got to stop it right there, officer. You got to stop it right there. You can't let that go by.
Yeah. So one of the main things she said is, well, two points I want to pull out of that. One, she said they don't want to read an article that can help them. Because she had written an article as well, which we're going to get into today. All right. Then she said she never met a man. Well, the mother had said that she raised him how to be a man.
Right.
She raised him how to cook, how to clean up a house.
Right.
You see things like that. Those are women traits.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when you raise up the sons like this, then you give them that effeminate trait.
Let's say those are things that are traditionally associated with a female. You know, she said, I met men that tell me, hey, they were raised by a single mother and they know how to cook.
Right.
They know how to clean, but I've never met one that told me they were raised by a single mother
who taught me how to be a man.
That's deep.
Right. All right, so go ahead and go to the next timeline. Go ahead.
We might have to go back to that, though.
just that one part where she said she never met a man. That's heavy because we see a lot of single households like that today. We see a lot of single households like that today, and they think that they was raised perfectly fine.
Right. Well, you know, here's what it reminds me of. So you have a mother that they can take their kid to baseball practice, football practice, karate practice. They can teach a kid or have someone teach a kid how to play sports, how to protect themselves, but there's something that they're missing. You don't teach them how to be a honorable man. Right. You know what I mean? Right. That's something that's innate that, you know, you don't get instruction on that from anywhere else but a father. Right. And those are the traits that they have, because when you look at it, the woman, what she's doing is she's supporting him. She's like still treating him like a baby. That's her child. That's, you know, her favorite and all those type of things. That's the reason why they never let him go. Right. They never let those single parent households like that. Once again, we just said it plenty of times on here. That's why you see the LeBron and all these people honor their mothers. Right. Because the fathers are not in the house. And that woman, that mom proud of, what's his name? Kevin Durant, running up, giving his mom hugs and kisses. All this stuff, man. Honoring his mother, you know. All right, go ahead.
So organically, you are a man, and there's just certain things that a woman can't do.
Go back a couple of seconds. Go back a couple of seconds. Start it over. She said something about there's an organic thing to being a man.
Right.
Well, let's move on.
There you go.
So organically, you are a man, and there's just certain things that a woman can't do. And I don't understand why a black woman would read this article and not find some kind of understanding or be able to relate to it. I know plenty of y'all that's garbage mothers. Garbage. I know a chick, her son called her while she was out, and he's like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she's like, Mother effer, will go in there and find you something to eat. Hell, I'm out.
Whoa, stop it right there. Stop it right there.
Wow. So the mother, she is out and about, and the son called her and says that I'm hungry. I need something to eat. Right. There he go, that codependent on the mother right there.
Well, it goes to show you how mothers, how they can abuse their kids in ways that you won't necessarily find in a single parent home. Right. If they're, in a two parent home. I mean, she ain't gonna be at the club. First of all, I hope anyway. You know what I mean?
But see, that's the thing about it. When we're detached from our history, from our traditional ways, when it comes to the Bible, our heritage, then you find those things you're referring to, officer. Go ahead.
Can we go to the article, the one about the book about the woman?
Go ahead and pull up. I believe it was the first page. I think he gave you 2 pages on that book,
because he speaks about black women and how they treat their kids and how they take care of their kids. And I don't think I sent you the cover of the book. I'm gonna see if I can show it here real quick on the screen. If you can just come to me before you go to the article real quick. I just want to show the cover of the book. I don't think we gave you that. So this book is called The Negro Wars. And we're going to turn to page 57 and 58. So if you can put the article back up on the screen. I got the book so I can read it here now.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start here at the bottom of the page. Here it says, most black children today grow up living in their own homes under constant fear of being beaten to a pulp or being violated by their mothers. This is exactly the behavior that takes place when there is no father present in the home.
Right.
Black women have continued to hearken to the Leviathan, that is the white liberal, who has advised them that they do not need a man and that they can play the role of both parents in raising children. We can clearly see the results for ourselves. The single parenting experiment has been a complete and utter failure in the black community, and nobody with any intelligence, reasoning, and common sense can deny this. On a quick side note.
All right. Well, real quick, when he said no one can deny this, showing you that it's not natural. It's not right. It's uncommon to have these single households.
Yeah.
You know, just like when we went into last week when they had when we went over like building a nation. Right. They had those houses. They got a lot of money to build houses right on top of each other, the government houses and things like that, the welfare and all those things for the single mothers.
Right.
So it's really kind of extension from last week as well.
Right.
Go ahead.
On a quick side note, another example of the care black women have for their children is the multitude of cases involving black women leaving their children in the home alone for hours, sometimes even days at a time, while they go about their business, which is what this woman was just talking about. Mom at the club,
and he hungry.
Son called and said, "Mom, I'm hungry and nothing to eat." She like, "You black MF, go and
Right.
It would seem more time that these mothers are looking for a penis to mount, as sex typically is the motivating factor behind them abandoning their children for such long periods of time. Yet this is the same woman who is labeled as the backbone of the black community.
Right.
If she is the backbone, then this backbone is broken in several places and requires immediate surgery. Black women regularly leave their children alone and unattended. In their minds, this type of practice is normal.
Right. I want to read some real quick. Go to 2 Corinthians 5:17. 2 Corinthians 5:17, because I just want to establish this real quick. This is not a woman bashing. We're not getting on them. The women that have repented and that are keeping God's commandments. Now, the ones that still have those traits, examine yourself.
And this is who these classes are for.
Right.
This is unrepentant mothers of black families out there that we're trying to show you that there's a better way.
Exactly. And this is where it starts. Come on, read that.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5 and verse 17.
Correct.
Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature.
See that? That's what we're referring to. You are a new creature once you start saying, okay, just like the bishop had said yesterday, the woman had said, take care of my son. Because she know that he need to be raised the right way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? She did that out of sincerity, right? You're a new creature. Go ahead.
Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
You see that? So we have to examine ourselves and be like, okay, if I'm this single type of person, I'm in this predicament, then I need to make sure that I fall up under God law so I can have a hedge of protection and keeping God commandments or leadership, things like that, so I can have some guidance with my son. That's what we're trying to get convey over to the people.
Yeah, if you caught the last class that we did, then we were showing you how these things really didn't start taking place until
the father was out the house.
And the father started being absent when welfare was given to the mother, and they started having kids out of wedlock because they knew the government
would take
care of the kids.
Right. So that's what we're saying. We're saying once you become a new creature, these are the things that you have to take on. A whole lot of different things come with this. Guess what you get rid of? You get rid of that bitterness toward that father. You get rid of that evil communication about that father. You get rid of all these type of things that you had built up when you become this new creature in the way now you want to see your son guided.
A lot of women didn't know that these things were a problem because they seen it for generation after generation. Real quick, I can remember. Basically, I can remember when this phenomenon began to occur. I was probably in my teenage years, and I started seeing women my age, like 16, 17, 18, begin to have babies. You know what I mean? Because that was uncommon when I was a small child. But around the time I became a teenager, I started seeing women my age having babies openly, you know what I'm saying, without a father in the house. And then I saw later on how they treated these kids. It wasn't nothing to see a woman walking down the street with
a baby in the stroller,
or a toddler saying, "Come on here, you little nappy head," such and such. You know what I mean? There was no father to check that behavior in a woman, and she just thought, hey, I can talk to him anyway. Any way I want to, because he's mine.
When you said that as you were speaking, thoughts start rolling through my head, and I have plenty family members and old schoolmates and things like that, and friends. When I used to go over their house, they have a sister with 2-3 kids.
Right,
in the house.
right, living in the house. Yeah.
You know, all growing up, I've seen this. So, like you said, in your time, you seen it. I seen it in my time, and it's still going on today.
Right, and you got generation of these kids raising other kids.
Right.
It's so we're trying to break the cycle.
Right. With what? With God's commandment. Become a new creature and start keeping God's commandments to where the men are not being whoremongers. The sisters are not. We're not whoring on us. All of these different things you will start to take on and realize, okay, I can't do this no more. Then you won't see the single parent. Marriage is honorable. You won't see the single parents. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we are trying to get over to our people today. All right. Did we have one more timeline on that?
Yeah, on that video.
Come on, let's get that last timeline. All right, then we're going to get into this article because the article is an extension of this video. That's why she said earlier, the women, they look at it as a bashing when they look at this, or they don't want the article to help them. Right. But what we're going to do is take that article and add the scriptures to it and show you where the women are going off if they don't want to see it through her article. Right, we're going to point it out through the scriptures.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Imagine that being your mom. And some of you don't have to imagine because you had that experience growing up as a child. You know, and I just, you know, just for the life of me, I just can't understand why Black women can't never look at themselves objectively enough to see that they are contributing to the problem that we have in society and with our sons. No one's saying that you're not a good mom. Well, some of you are. Some of you are trash. But what I'm saying is that even if you are a good mother, you wouldn't want to improve on that. You wouldn't want to read an article that could assist you and help you.
All right, guys, that's actually the end of the
video. Right. So that's what that's exactly what I was just saying. She said they don't want to read an article that could help them.
They automatically want to cast the blame somewhere else. And we're not saying that there's not multiple people to blame.
Right.
But hey, you're taking charge of these families. You're saying, I'm a strong Black woman. I don't need no man. You decide to have a baby out of wedlock.
Right. Right. And like what she said, she had made a very good point. She said, you know, this is not, you know, for all the women saying that y'all are bad mothers.
Right.
We're not saying that either.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Even if you're not in this truth, yeah, you got some raising them, not saying that you're not doing the best that you can, but you're not governed by God laws the way you raise them.
If this don't apply to you, let it roll off your back.
Right.
You know?
Right. So with that, now let's get into her article. You have the article? All right, pull up the article. We're going to start it from the top of that article. Why single mothers destroy their sons. All right, we're going to start it from the top of that article. If you could blow it up, that's it. The first paragraph of what we're going to get. All right.
You know, I'm going to need it a lot bigger than that, fellas. Come on.
All right. Bear with us, Israel. Okay, all praises.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
This article is entitled Ways Single Mothers Destroy Their Sons. And I guess this is the article that the lady posted that everybody got on her about. The most toxic environment for a boy growing up is a single mother household. I can tell readers from personal experience that boys don't get all their needs met in a single parent household. Many of the lessons they learn in that hostile territory growing up make them into lost, confused men with no defined sense of identity.
Man, that's pretty heavy. They have no defined sense of identity. All right, because why? Because the father wasn't there to groom them and to guide them and to show them his traits.
Well, like you say, some of the stuff that a man teaches a young boy is organic.
Right.
You know, it's not something that you sit down and write in a book.
Right.
It's something that you're going to pick up from watching your father, how he interacts with other men, even how he interacts with your mother.
Right.
You know, like I was relating to you earlier about how my mother would say, boy, just wait till your daddy get home.
Right.
You know, I'm going to make him, he going to beat the brakes off you. And then daddy would come home, and instead of getting that whooping you thought you was going to get, he'll pull you up to the side and say, hey, did you do such and such? Yeah, all right, don't do that again.
Exactly.
Get on out of here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He'd be like, woo. You know, but he's teaching you how to control your emotions, how everything don't have to end in in a physical abuse.
Right. Uproar.
Right. A fight.
Right. Okay. Roll it up a little bit. There we go. How does
a single mother destroy her son? Let me count the ways.
All right. So that's why this topic right here is good. We're gonna read through these things and see some different traits that the woman is pointing out about the single mothers raising these sons. Okay, come on.
Speaking negatively about their father. The most damaging thing a mother can do is speak badly about a child's father in front of them. These negative statements about the child's father are the equivalent of hitting that child with a fist in the jaw.
You see that? So that's Bishop just brought that out as well. Words can break bones. How it goes, sticks and stone will break my bone, but words will never hurt. Words do. That's why he said these words are like hitting the son in the jaw. Right? All right, go ahead.
One half of that child is the father. And when he hears his mother saying negative things about him, the boy usually grows up doubting himself. They think that there's something wrong with them, that they need to change a part of themselves to get approval of his angry mother. It's these identity issues usually cause him to resolve to not be like his father. It's these identity issues that cause a boy to hate himself. That's heavy right there. That's heavy right there. You know, that self-hatred that we hear about a lot of times with dealing with each other, you know.
Right.
You stepped on my shoe. I don't see God in you, basically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Before
I just
you
see
go
you as another nigger.
Definitely. Before you go any further, I want to read this precept real quick. Psalms 50 and verse 23. And this is going into how it was saying how the woman was speaking negatively, but she's not supposed to do that, right? Read this.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50 and verse 23. Whoso offereth praise glorified him, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God.
You see that? They're doing the opposite of that. They're not showing praising him, encouraging son, right, bringing him into the commandments, things like that. So this is what repentance is all about. We would be talking like this. Well, 1 Corinthians 15:33. Let no evil communication come out of your mouth. She's constantly speaking negative, saying negative things about men.
Yeah.
And that's going right into the son. He's absorbing all of these type of things.
Right. Women, you have to really be careful about the things that you say about a young child, young men in particular, since we're talking about men, and what you say about their fathers.
Exactly. Okay, you want to pick back up on the article?
Saying negative things about men. Thanks to their failed relationship with the child's father, many single mothers have a subconscious hatred of men, and they express that hatred about every man they come in contact with, saying things like, that no good nigger, or men ain't shit, or doing things like avoiding male cashiers, salesmen, and speaking negatively about male acquaintances have a profound impact on children, especially boys. Hearing these negative statements and seeing these misandristic actions about men and regarding men make little boys afraid of embracing their masculinity and their male identity. One of the easiest ways to turn a boy into a mangina is to have him constantly hear numerous negative statements about men from his mother. When a boy hears that his mother hates men, he resolves to not be like them, which is simply self-hatred.
You see that? So immediately I think about the Titus, the Titus 2, how they supposed to, teach the young women how to love their husbands and children and things like that.
Do y'all know what this term mangina is?
I'm not sure about
that. Get the
that.
definition on mangina real quick? It sounds like a urban mangina. Oh, mangina. Okay. I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah, it sounds familiar now.
Oh, that's one of them urban. Okay, mangina.
Right.
Okay, dang, it's tough. Okay, teaching their sons to disrespect their father's authority. One of the most dangerous things single mothers indirectly teach their children is to disrespect male authority by making negative statements about the child's father, dismissing things he says, and telling them to disregard his instructions.
Wow.
She teaches her children to have no respect for male authority and to have no regard for males in charge.
Wow.
You know, now this can happen in a two-parent home too. You can have a father tell a child something and then the mother come behind him and say,
right,
don't worry, baby.
I got you. I talk to your father.
Most mothers think they're getting back at the dad by doing this, but they don't see the long-term damage they do by teaching their sons to have contempt for their fathers. Boys growing up to disrespect of their fathers have no respect for all other men in society.
Wow, let's hold it right there. We're going to pick back up on that article, Soldier. We're going to pick back up on it. But right now, let's get a couple precepts on this, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, so they said that these single mothers, when they raise them, teaching their sons to disrespect their father's authority. To disrespect their father's authority. All right, so
just not fathers, but authority in general.
Right. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into. You can pull that down. We're gonna come back to it. You can pull it down. Okay. All right. So go to Proverbs 1:8. Proverbs 1:8. So that's what in the article the woman's seeing how the single mothers are raising, the children, the boys, and how they act toward their sons, toward their fathers. Okay, let's read this out of the Bible.
This is the book of Proverbs.
Remember, this is our instruction. This is our guideline, right? How some people said the basic instructions before leaving.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah.
Here go our basic instructions right here. All right, come on.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 8. My son, hear the instruction of thy father.
You see that?
And forsake not the law of thy mother.
So he's telling us the main point we want out of this is hear the instruction of thy father. But the wife or the mother would teach against that. So that's why I say when you this new creature, you won't carry yourself in that way. These are things that some of our people have to repent from. All right.
And I like that chapter. This is a whole chapter that teaches about about a father teaching a man how to stand on his own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't fall in with the gang. As you read on, that's what this kind of goes into. But
right.
Go ahead.
Okay. From there, matter of fact, read it again.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 8. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Once again, that goes right back to the commandments. The Bible, we say, honor thy mother, not father, thy father, not mother. All right. So when they teaching them against that, the sons that teach to disrespect the father's authority, you're going against the Bible. Basic instructions. The way that in the other precept he said, we get long life by obeying our fathers. All of these different things that we're lacking, we got to come back to our heritage. All right. So from there, go to Proverbs chapter 6, verse 20. We have to come back to our heritage. So the single women, you don't have to raise them, by yourself. You don't have to. That's why when we congregate, guess what happens? Christ said when you don't have your mother, your father out in the world, you got them right here. You got a whole family. Like we do with the young men. We raise them up. We show them different things. We spend time with them. All these different things take place right here. So the mother don't have to deal with that or try to, implement things that she have no idea or what she doing. That's what this nation building is about.
Yeah, the women, they got to understand that there's just some things you cannot teach a son.
Right.
Period.
Right. Exactly. You are exactly right. And once again, that's why we decided to go over this, because we realized it and we know that the Bible says, hey, that a father should be in the house. A father should be in place to teach him these things. All right. Just like we're going to get here in a little bit what David said to Solomon. I go to where all the earth, All right. Come on.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 20. My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
You see that? We're gonna constantly see these type of things because the Father is the one that instructs you. Just like we read last week about how the Father is proud of him because he is adventure.
Right.
You know, things like that. How he raised him up. How he said, train up a child in which way he should go. You know, all these different things constantly showing us that the Father is the head, the mother, and then the kids, things like that. All these different things we got to make sure, you know what, I want to line up with how God said to raise my house, how God said to raise my children.
And for you that don't know, this is basically one of the 10 commandments. For you Christians out there that don't believe you have to keep any commandments, this is one of the big 10. This is the first commandment with promise. Can I read it real quick?
Go ahead.
It's from the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 12.
Right.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Right.
Simple. One of the big 10.
Right. So that's what he said. We have to honor them. So if we're being taught contrary to it, then we have to start trying to see, okay, well, how can I apply this? How can I apply this? All right. We know that, you know, some young men are under their mother's roof. I remember a brother was coming here with, you know, he stayed with I believe his mom or whoever he stayed with, right? He stayed with them, but he really couldn't come to the school like he wanted to because of his age.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So he have to honor them.
Right.
If they say you can only go on certain days, he have to honor it until he's old enough to start being a man.
Right. And I hope she don't break his spirit before he get a chance to come back.
Right.
You know.
Exactly. And we, like I say, we see these different type of things all the time. All right. So from there, go to Proverbs 13:1. Teaching their sons to disrespect the father's authority. That is not a good trait. All right. Come on.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 13 and verse 1. A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke.
You see that correction, just like you were saying how your dad, your mom would say, hey, wait till your dad get here because either you're going to be a scorner to her. I ain't worried about when he get here. I'm going to do some, you know, boys buck up like that. Right. But some say, okay, you know what? I'm going to honor my father's correction.
I'm going to sit here in the corner and hope she forget about it before we get home.
Exactly. So if my father hear about it, I know something is going to make me change. Something is going to happen. All right. Like myself, at a time when my mom wasn't married, guess what? She was trying to raise 3 nappy-headed boys and a daughter, you know, and things didn't always work out in her favor.
So you're an example of how things can work out, though.
Exactly.
All single-family homes, like you said in the beginning, ends in some kind of disaster.
Right.
Or whatever.
Like I say, at about, I think, like 10 or something like that, then a man came in the house.
Right.
You know, so from that time until he passed, until I moved out of the house, there was a man figure in the house, constantly saying, boys, y'all don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
And before it's passing, hey, y'all make me proud. Or, you know, different things like that because of his guidance. Right. Even, like I say, even if it was in the world, but it wasn't up under the commandments. And that's what, once again, we're trying to get our people to see. We got to do it the way the Most High said do it.
Yes.
Right. Once again, train up a child which way he should go. All right. And he would not depart. All right. So from there, Proverbs 28:7. Proverbs 28 and verse 7.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 7. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of righteous men shameth his father.
And the most of the time they become these righteous men is in these single households.
Right.
And he did what to his father? Shamed his father.
Right.
He's shaming his father. Why? Because, like I quoted earlier in Sirach, that he wanted to raise him up, and he want to be proud of him. He want to have good things to say about him. Right. All right. So from there, let's get back to that article. All right. Pick back up on the article. It should be with the part where it's teaching their sons to be disrespectful male authorities. Male authority figures. Okay, roll it up to the top. That's what we want right there. Roll it up. Teaching their sons to disrespect male authorities and male authority figures.
Teaching their sons to disrespect male authority and male authority figures. Didn't we just read that?
No.
Okay.
Roll it back down. Roll it 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 down.
Okay, no, okay.
That's
go
what
back
we
up.
read.
Okay, go back up.
Go up. Okay. See, because that was about the fathers. This is about male authority figures.
Okay. I got you.
All right.
Okay. Teaching their sons to disrespect male authority and male authority figures. When a mother teaches her son to have no respect for the authority of their fathers, it teaches them that men are not to be respected.
You see that? So it's not just the father. It's any man. Any man.
Right.
The men don't respect. That's why we got knuckleheads today that will be disrespectful to authorities, to whether it's the police, whether it's a judge, whether you see, they be disrespectful in all those instances because they know mama gonna bail them out.
Coming in here to the congregation too for a while, you know, that's why we have Men of Valor program and things like that to build men up because we know they're coming from these type of households.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
That can get him into trouble when he runs into male authority figures such as supervisors and police officers when he gets older. This is why many boys who come from single-parent homes have a hard time adjusting to the real world. When challenged by male authority figures, they often resist them or disrespect them because they've been made to believe they're beneath them.
You see that?
Dang.
So they give them a mindset that they're you large and in charge. You the boss. Anywhere you go, son, can't nobody tell you nothing.
Oh man, and you hear that?
He a king. She put a crown on his head. She get him anything he want. You want a car, baby? I got you. You want insurance? I pay your insurance. I done seen these things before. That's how they treat their sons, to where they don't respect male authorities.
You know how that comes out? Who you think you talking to?
Right.
Man, you don't know who I am.
Right. That's the beneath part.
Right.
That a male is beneath them because you don't know who he is. Go ahead. And once again, but I had to say this real quick, and that's not the spirit we should be rolling.
Exactly.
That's not how we should be rolling. Or the young men, they should not be carrying themselves in this manner. All right, go ahead.
What most boys from single-parent homes don't understand are that these men they have little regard for have the power to fire him from a job. And if they're in law enforcement, these men who have power to kill him if he doesn't follow their instructions to the letter.
That's pretty heavy. That's pretty heavy. That's going to show you how and why we see all of these things happening to us. Not every case.
Right.
Not every case.
'Cause we know we do get treated differently by law enforcement.
Right. But some of the things are bonehead decisions as well.
Right.
Why? Because I can guarantee you a lot of them was raised in single-parent households with just their mother.
Yeah.
And she teach them how to be more emotional rather than to think.
Right.
He's acting off of his emotions.
How to think logically. That's what a father brings to the equation. How to think logically.
Right. So before we go to the next part of that article, you can pull it down. Let's get an example of a male authority and what we're going to read about Paul. All of these incidences about Paul, what he said about a male authority. How he said about somebody following his authority, right? All right, so let's go to Acts. Acts chapter 22, verse 3. So some of the sons are raised teaching their sons to disrespect their father's authority, teaching their sons to disrespect male authority. Come on.
Is that 22?
Yes, sir. 22 and 3.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 22 and verse 3. I am verily a man which am a Jew born in Tarsus.
So he admitted that he's a man. Okay, right? Come on.
A Jew born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel.
You see that? So that means he had to go respect that man. In order to sit at his feet and get the knowledge and the understanding from him, he had to respect him. Sit there at his feet to get the understanding. If he told him do, he did. If he told him sit, he sit. If he told him go, whatever these things were, so he could constantly be in this presence to get that understanding.
He said brought up at the feet.
Right.
So he said, I humbled myself before this man to learn.
Exactly. And like we was just saying or reading out of the article, this is showing you that they wasn't raised to do that. They, buck up against the police, buck up against their bosses on their jobs. They wasn't doing this right here. Right? Bishop just brought this precept up last night as well. Proverbs 15 and 1. A soft answer turn it away. But they don't give the soft answer when they think that somebody's beneath them. You're not going to give no soft answer. Come on. Well, verse 3 again, please.
I am verily a man which am a Jew, born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, and taught according to the perfect manner of the law of the fathers.
You see that? That was it?
No.
Go ahead.
And was zealous toward God, as ye all are this day.
So he said that he was brought up at his feet and he was taught the perfect laws. These are things that he was taught. All right, so real quick, go to Psalms. This is that 19 and 7. Psalms 19 and 7. This is what Paul was taught. This is what our young men have to be taught. He said at the feet to learn this. Come on.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
You see that? The law of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. It's perfect law. There's nothing wrong with his laws. The things that we should and should not do. These are our guidelines to guide us. All right. And if we don't know these things, that's why we have to be taught these things. What he said in the book of Acts. Do you understand what you're reading? How can I? Except some man should guide me. The man have to guide them. The man, not the mothers. The men have to guide them. All right. Real quick, go to Psalms 119. 119 and 9.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word.
You see that? So that's the way he could change his ways. If he came in or put up on the authority of another man, he have to change his ways according to the word.
Right.
Not according to that man, but according to the word. Well, like you said, a lot of us came in here with spirits. I know an officer, when he came here, he had to get put out for a while.
Right.
And when he came back, he understood, okay, well, I need to follow authority or things that are set in place here for me to grow.
Right.
And now he's a leader. Now he's a leader here. You see that?
And that's ultimately what we're talking about, ladies, is that you are able to find a God-fearing man that's going to instruct your son in the ways of the word, the ways of this book, the Bible.
Exactly. To be, to have those traits of a man. And not the traits of how she said, my mom, she's seen the men that the mom taught him how to clean a house, how to cook and different things like that. Like I say, Bishop went over like about a week ago saying if the wife want to change the colors of the curtain, let her do it.
You know, and I think I told you the story before how when back in the 60s when my mom wanted to go to work and my father was kind of against it, you know. And one of the compromises that they made at the time was that, okay, you go to work if you want to, but you're going to still come home and cook. And I was 5 boys in the house. He's like, these boys are not going to be here cooking and cleaning.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was a certain understanding back then that was. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's just the way. But he understood it.
Right. Remember, we read several articles several times here on Daily Bread where in the 60s, in the 60s, that's when these things start to change.
That's when they start pulling them bricks out the wall.
Right after slavery, the 100 years, we still had these things intact like your dad was doing. So, yeah, that's a very heavy point. Very heavy point. So, let's read that precept one more time.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word.
And when it talks about changing his ways, it's talking about him repenting. It's talking about him renewing his mind and things like that. The ways that his mom had taught him. Okay, so if she had taught him to be respectful, he ain't got to change that. Continue to be respectful. But if she told him that they're beneath you, and you need to change that. So there's certain attributes that a man will have to change becoming a man, or a boy will have to change becoming a man.
And they don't understand that some of these things they're teaching are unspoken. It ain't that you're saying it, but it's your behavior. Like that one article said about how they avoid men cashiers, you know. avoid men salesmen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're teaching by your action that, look, I don't respect these men. I don't want nothing to do with them. Let's go over here and deal with this woman.
Right. Well, let's pull that precept on that real quick before we go back to this article. Go to well, actually, I still had 2 more precepts in that real quick, but since you brought that up, go to Matthew 5. I believe it's 19. Jump right down to 19. All right, go ahead.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so.
There you go right there. And they teaching them. You said it's unspoken, but they're teaching them by our actions we teach. If I'm disrespectful, guess what? It could be my actions, the way I grab things, the way I respond, shake my head or turn away or jerk away from. Those are my actions. People are watching that. You see, but what if I'm, yes, sir, no, sir, my apologies. People are watching those actions. When you're told to do something, you just go and do it. These are your actions you're teaching people. Okay, well, I see the way he handled that. I'm going to handle it the same way if I'm in that situation.
And I think that's that organic thing that she was talking about earlier, because we carry ourselves in a certain way that we don't think about it.
Right.
We do it because we're men,
right?
You know, and a son sees that and he's like, that's how dad operates. So I'm not going to get excited when somebody cuts me off in traffic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I like that example too, because these are the things, like I say, that the brother, the men or the boys that was raised up by single mothers that they deal with. So these are like different examples that we're going over, showing like if you're in this situation, here are things being pointed out to you that you can avoid. That's basically what it is. All right. So read that again.
Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
Okay.
But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
All right, so these are the traits that the young men have to learn, how to keep the commandments. All right, so go to Colossians 1:28. Colossians 1:20. So back to Paul. Paul said, he sat at the feet of Gamaliel, right? So he humbled himself. He learned, right? He didn't reject male authority. All right, so this is for the young men. Listen up. Come on.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 1 and verse 28. Whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Christ Jesus.
You see that? So how can we do that if you don't follow? How can we present you perfect? How can we teach you? Read that again. Read that again.
Whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man
teaching every man, just like Paul was taught. That's the point. So he was taught, so now he took on that authority of a man, and he's going to go teach. And that's what we're raising up here, leaders, right? Even if you came from these single parent households or single female households, you still could come in and learn how to be a man and a leader. All right, come on.
Whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Christ Jesus.
We may present every man perfect in Christ Jesus. We may present every man to him. Now he know how to keep God's commandments. All right. We read that earlier. How shall a young man cleanse his ways? We read before that the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. So this is what makes you perfect. All right. So from there, go to 2 Timothy 3 and 17. 2 Timothy.
This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 16.
17.
17. That the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
You see that? So that's the goal. That's the goal. Or once again, where Bishop gave the example of the young man, don't make this mistake as a father, as a male in authority. So he doesn't care if you be mad at him, just like with your own son. The men, we don't care if your son be mad. You don't want him to make mistakes. You want to guide and lead him the right way.
But you know what's so heavy about these scriptures you're bringing out, officers, is that in the Christian church, one of their doctrines that they hold so high is that you can't be perfect. You know, you can't be perfect, so nobody can be perfect. You know, so that's the
Right.
excuse for not even dealing with the Bible,
Right.
Because the Bible talks about being perfect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like the scripture you brought out earlier, Proverbs 19:7. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But here we're reading over and over that the law of God calls us to be perfect, or at least to strive for perfection.
Right. I got one for you. Go to, I believe it's 1 Peter 5:10. You just brought this to mind. What they say, let's see what the Bible says. 1 Peter 5:10.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 10.
Yes.
But the God of all grace, who hath called us into his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after that ye have suffered a while.
We're suffering right now. Go ahead.
Make you perfect.
You see that? Read on.
Establish, strengthen, settle you.
You see that? So once again, that's the whole goal.
Right.
Regardless of what we're going through, we have to come to the realization, you know what? I got to apply 1 Corinthians 1:10. We're all on one mind, one accord. I got to apply 1 Kings 8:46-47. I got to
understand. We're talking to a lot of Christians out here right now. Not all Israel listening. And some of these scriptures you're calling out, we might have to read them because people hadn't heard these things before.
Okay. I tell you what. Let's go get the 1 King. Let's go read it. Matter of fact, read this again. Read this again. Read this again.
This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 10. But the God of all grace, who hath called us unto his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you.
Okay, so I wanna focus in on it. After you suffered a while, after you suffered a while, it can make you perfect. Okay, now go to 1 Kings, 1 Kings 8:47. These are steps for the single mothers. When you bring your son in, watch how he could be converted. Watch how he could be changed. Watch how he could be perfect, and not according to how you want him to be perfect. And matter of fact, the woman talked about that in the article. If we have time, we're going to get down to it. We'll probably have to do a little reading on it. But come on.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 47. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they were carried captives, and repent.
That's the part. Go ahead.
And make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned.
That's the part right there. After you suffer for a while, because you sinned, read.
We have sinned and have done perversely. We have committed wickedness.
Come on.
And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name.
Come on.
Then hear thou their prayer.
That's the point right there where he make us perfect after he hear our prayers and we start keeping his commandments again. Come on.
Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause.
All right. Read verse 46 real quick. You started at 47.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 46. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy.
That's the part right there I wanted. For us suffered for a while, because we was delivered in the hands of the enemy. We had to suffer in the land of captivity. Slave ships, changed our names, castrated us, pulled us apart, whipped us, beat us, hung us. That's suffering for a while, right? And all the things that are happening to us today, we're suffering for a while, all right? Why? Because of all of these different things that we have done and that we're still continuing to do today, all right? So that took us a little bit here and there, but
that's good, dog.
That's all right. It was another one I was quoting. What is I quoting? 5? Yes, let's get that as well. That'd be good. All praises. 1 and 10. So we have to repent, and we have to, and this word can make us perfect. How? Because we're keeping the commandments. right? Like I say, Bishop brought out another precept as well. The law wasn't made for the righteous.
Right.
Those
right,
are the
right,
keeping his commandments, right? Come on.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1 and verse 10. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
Right, right. All right. So
that's another Christian cut, because they don't believe they can be judged either. You know, so he's saying right here that you be all of the same mind
in the same judgment.
In the same judgment.
Right, right, exactly. So these are things that, like I say, that we don't know, that we have to be taught. We have to come. Paul had to go be taught.
Right.
But everybody want to talk about Paul letters.
Right.
Paul went to go get taught.
Exactly.
All right. So we have to be taught as well. It don't matter how old we are. All right. So if you never have been taught the commandments the right way, how to keep the commandments, now's the time. That's why he say, let's go to that real quick. Psalms 119 and 59. I think that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, 59 and 60. Come on.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 59. I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments.
Right, right. You see that? So these are things that we have to do. These are, it don't matter if you just heard us on the streets yesterday or you heard us on the street 2 years ago. We still have to make haste to keep his commandments. All right, we can't continue to be, I think my mom did a good job, or I think, no, we can't think like that.
Right.
We have to think, you know what? I wasn't raised in keeping God's commandments.
Right.
So now it's time for me to change my ways.
Right.
Right. All right, let's try to get some more of this article in real quick. All right, pull it back up. Pull it back up, and go to projecting anger at the Father. Go ahead.
Projecting anger at the father unto the son. It's not common for a single mother to go into an angry rant when their son does something wrong or makes him, it should probably say, it's not uncommon for a single mother to go into an angry rant when their son does something wrong or makes a mistake when they disagree with her. Oftentimes, she's venting the rage she feels about the child's father at the son. Statements like, "You're going to grow up to be just like your no-good daddy," hit boys like fists. Oftentimes, these emotionally abusive blows knock boys down for the count emotionally before they even get up to become men.
So what you just said is these are words that they're using to destroy them mentally.
And they don't know they're doing it.
Right, right.
They don't. 9 times out of 10, they were raised like that by their single mother.
Right.
You know?
Right. Go ahead.
These hostile and negative statements from a single mother can force boys to withdraw socially and erect emotional walls.
So that's another point where you have people withdrawing, and what's that word? They're introverts.
Right.
They are grown up to be introverts, and like I say, most of it be from the single parent house or the single mother raised them up with these type of traits that they're doing. So if you find yourself doing this, examine yourself.
Yeah, they got two speeds. You know, they either quiet and real subdued, or they blow up.
Right.
Something triggers them and they just go off.
Yeah, exactly right. Go ahead.
These walls prevent these boys from connecting with others and forming healthy relationships when they get older. Not allowing their fathers to see them. While things between a single mother and a child's father may have soured, the mother should never deny the father's a right to see his child if he wants to see them. Contrary to the belief of most feminists and liberals, a woman cannot be a mother and a father to a boy, nor can she raise a boy to become a man.
That's a heavy point right there. That's a heavy. Now, hold it right there. Don't lose that point. You can pull it down for a second. Now go get 1 Kings. 1 King would. Let's see what. No, sir. I'm sorry. The 1 Samuel. Now let's see what David said to Solomon. Chapter 2, verse 2. 1 Kings 2 and 2.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2 and verse 2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Who you think is telling him this? This is his father. So without the father instructing him this, the mothers can't tell him that because she never showed him. He was right there with his father. He seen the example that his father put forth. Remember, we just read earlier and in the article earlier, I think, no, it was in the book, to where it says, well, actually, we just read in that article, she cannot teach him how to be a man. Right? But right here it tells you that he told him to go thy way and show thyself a man. We also read in in Matthew 5 that you can teach men so. And he taught his son. So when he instructed him, what did the Bible say in Proverbs? Listen to the instructions of your father. All right.
Well, he gives him the rest of the instructions right here on how to be a man.
Right. Come on.
Let's get verse 3.
Come on.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself.
You see that? So that's how he showed him how to be a man. Right. So it's in the scriptures. She only had a worldly knowledge that how the women are going off raising young men. The single females raising up the young men, raising up their sons.
Yeah, if you are a single female out there and you're looking for help, you need to be turning your son's feet to this book, or sending them to a place where they can learn how to keep the laws of God.
And not no Christian church.
They don't teach the laws.
They don't need to go to no Christian church. You need to go to where they're teaching you how to keep God's commandments.
Right.
That's what we all need. Everybody, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American need to learn to keep God's commandments. And that's where we stand, right? And that's what how he says, go to that real quick. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Ecclesiastes. This is what the Bible says. We had quoted earlier talking about the basic instruction before leaving the earth. Right. Come on.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
You see that? This is the whole conclusion of the whole matter, what we're referring to, right? That the single mothers, you can't raise a boy to be a man. The whole conclusion is David told his son, I go the way, show thyself a man. He had already trained him up. He seen his father example. That's why in the article she said they be bitter toward him, toward the father. They don't neglect him to see the father. All of these different things that the women do that they shouldn't be doing. You're neglecting him from this right here as well. Come on.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
And a man will show a man how to do it. We just read the example. David showed Solomon to keep the commandments. That's how he showed himself a man. This is the whole duty of man, that we keep his commandments. All right. So from there, where were we? Go back to the article. Go back to the article. All right, pick back up at where you was at.
These hostile and negative statements from a single mother. I'm sorry, I lost when you blew it up there.
Start at the top.
You want to start back at the top?
Mm-hmm.
Not allowing their fathers to see them. While things between a single mother and the child's father may have soured, the mother should never deny the father a right to see his child if he wants to see them. Contrary to the belief of most feminists and liberals, a woman cannot be a mother and a father to a boy.
Right. And that's what we just went into. Okay. How David raised Solomon, how the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments, which David was telling Solomon.
Right.
Go ahead.
Nor can she raise a boy to become a man. Boys need their relationship with their father to gain a sense of themselves and to understand their masculinity and male identity.
Hey, I like that part right there. Matter of fact, read on before we pull these other precepts on that. Go ahead.
Boys need that relationship with their father to gain a sense of themselves and to understand their masculinity and male identity. Without that relationship, they often grow up lost and confused about their identity as a man.
Wow.
When boys can't answer those questions that only a father can answer, they take cues from hypermasculine images in media.
Roll it up.
Or from ideas from their peers to fill in the empty space regarding what type of man they should become. And if this media isn't available, he starts taking cues from their mother regarding what type of man they should be.
Wow. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. Go to Sirach 19:29. Sirach 19:29. They start taking from their mother on how they should be, how they should carry themselves.
Not just mother, but don't skip that part about media. They take cues from media too. I mean, all these gangster rappers,
right,
and video games,
right.
And
you're absolutely
world
right.
star hip hop or whatever.
Right. All of these images, 1929. All of these different images are put it before them, and how was it said? They either headed to jail, effeminate, or dead. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
All of these things, and most of them derived from they was raised by their mama.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
This is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 19 and verse 29. A man may be known by his look.
You see that already. You see, so you can't be raised by your mother and you have effeminate ways and effeminate traits and things like that, and then you're being called a man. You're gonna be, wait a minute, there's something off with him, right? Until he converts himself and start being trained up to become a man, right? Because like we say, all of these people in the streets, they not men. All these, things that you name, gangsters, and the images they put before us with the skinny jeans, they not men.
I look at some of these rappers. I mean, I don't watch rap, but I look at some of the images that I come across, and I'll be like, what the hell have we created?
Right. We ain't create that.
What the hell has been created?
Like Diggy Yasa said, America created the Negro.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, read that. Read from the top, please.
A man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his countenance when thou meetest him. A man's attire and excessive laughter and gait show what he is.
You see that? So a man's attire, the way he dress, and the way he walk shows what type of man he is. All right, so we got to make sure that when we're raising up our boys, you know how that some of them when the men raise, but hey, be tough, things like that. They want to instill it, and maybe they might be doing it too aggressively in the wrong way, but their whole goal is to psychologically to make him be tough.
Well, this verse kind of brings out, okay, what we call a sissy boy. He walking down the street twitching like a little girl.
Right.
Well, that's one way, but then there's some other things with men that you see how they walk around. They got their head dropped down.
Right.
They can't really look you in the eye.
Right.
These are also ways that a man show you what he is.
Right.
He don't have a lot of self-confidence. His shoulders are drooped.
Exactly.
Looking down at his feet when he talk to you. All these things are telltale signs.
Right. And I like the way you said that confidence. Because when we read in Joshua, he tell him, be courage. I told thee, things like that. He said he constantly encouraged them to be courageous and things like that. So we would never have our forefathers walking with their heads down. Even when they was under persecution, they held their head high. Eleazar, took it as a man, say, hey, even in my old age, I'm gonna continue to be an example.
It's gotten to the point now that when you walk around and you got your head held up and you look a man in the eye, people call you
intimidating.
Well, yeah, he's aggressive, or he's arrogant.
Right.
No.
Right. You're showing yourself a man, right? Because of the scripture. You're fulfilling the scripture. You're not showing that you're weak and effeminate.
Right.
Those are the traits that they want us to take on. Just like how it says in the Willie Lynch letter. You reverse the roles of the children when you exile a man. All right, so all these things have been done to us. So now it's time for us to reverse, like it says in that book, reverse the mind.
Right.
And matter of fact,
we're that phenomenon that's trying to change that way of thinking and put the man back out in front.
Exactly. Real quick, let's go to Colossians 3:10, I believe it is. Colossians chapter 3.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 10. And have put on the new man.
Right, that's it. Go ahead.
Which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him.
Okay, so we got to take off that old man. We got to take off those old traits. And when you see a man, you know what he is. Why? Because he's been raised by his mom. We got to be converted. So this is the point right here. Put on that new man. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind. Walk up with your head up high. Walk up because you know who you are now. Walk up because you're keeping God's commandments. That's how he says in that Wisdom of Solomon. Let's read that real quick. I just want 1 point out of that. 5 and 1. I want 1 point out of that. 1 point out of that. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. So he said, put on the new man, because we're talking about the traits that they have been raised by their mothers. But when they're being converted, this is a new man right here. Come on.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness.
Stop right there. You see that? Then he's going to have great boldness because he have that courage now. He had that confidence now. You know? I even think about myself. When I came to IUIC, I was a quiet person. I kind of sat back, admired others and, just sat, scooted up. Kind of like Jotham is today. And guess what? Now, brothers be like, oh, man, you got the gift of gab. Oh, you can.
Right.
I wasn't always like that. I had to put on that manly spirit. I had to put on that confidence to be courageous. Just like the Bible commanded me to do. After reading this, ain't no way I could have stayed in that same state. I couldn't do it. And then more responsibilities being put on you as a man, as a leader, so others see your example. All right. So that's what we're constantly trying to encourage our men to do today. All right. So from there,
real quick, just back to Colossians 3 and 8, it says 3 and 10. Mm-hmm. After the image of him that created him. Not to get too deep into that, but we know that Christ was a austere man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was not a Jello make me sad kind of guy.
Right.
The way that Christianity portrays him with the white Jesus and the stringy hair and just love. It's all about love.
Right. Oh man, where's that precept at? I believe.
I'm getting you off topic, y'all.
Well, no. That's not, because we could use Christ as an example, which I was kind of going to do anyway, but you brought another precept into mind. I believe it's Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. Hold up. Give me 1 second. Matthew chapter 7, verse. Start at verse 24.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7.
22.
Chapter 7 and verse 22.
Start at 21.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Come on.
But he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven.
So he already letting you know that you have to be doing the will of the Father in order to enter into heaven. What's the will? Let's get that real quick. There's a lot of people, like you say, don't know what God's will is.
They toss these words around in church, but they have no clue.
Right.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 8. I delight to do thy will, O my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, thy law is within my heart.
So that's his will. And before you go back to Matthew 7, go to Ephesians 5:17. Ephesians 5:17. So I delight to do thy will. Thy law is within my heart. And he also said, not every man that said unto me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. You got that? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
This is the book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 17. Verse 17. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is.
You see that? We have to be not unwise. We have to know what his will is. And that's why we have to know what his commandments are and how to follow them and how to do them. This is the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Like I say, all these different things go right back to our heritage, go right back to how we're raised and trained up and taught and have to be taught all over again and learn and put on that new man and that new spirit and be renewed.
The very thing that will fix the problem is what the Christian church teaches against.
Right.
It's keeping the laws of God. But the Christian church is telling you you don't have to keep the laws or you can't keep the laws.
Right.
That's why we often say that the Christian church is basically it's the devil's workshop.
Right.
You know, it's worse than crack.
Right. How they said God laws are done away with.
Right.
That don't make no sense at all. I remember Elder Kanah, he used to say it all the time. He said if you're in the Christian church, he's like, you crazy. If you're in there in 2000 and whatever year it
was, yeah.
Now even until the day, you crazy if you up in that. It's ridiculous. Matter of fact, go to Malachi real quick. These are a bunch of basic precepts, but you just have to pull it out. 2 and 7. These are things our people don't understand about the Bible.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 2 and verse 7. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth.
You see that? That's the whole point right there. We should be seeking the law out of the pastor's mouth. He should be teaching us. He should be teaching you God laws. Just like the father will be teaching you God law. So when you go into your religious belief, now that pastor, if you're a single parent raising that son, he should be teaching you God law. That's why we were just saying, go to learn God laws, because you will be up under a teacher that will be teaching you that. That's that male figure that they're missing.
Right.
Real quick. No. Go back to Matthew 7. Matthew 7. I was going to go somewhere else. Matthew 7.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven.
Come on.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works?
You see that? So that's what what we're constantly saying, that we're not keeping God's commandments. We have this illusion that we're doing good things toward God, right? Even raising your kids and taking them to church, and then they in the choir and on the drums and all that old good. You thought you did a good job with them.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 23. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you.
Right, come on.
Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Right. Working iniquity is going against his commandments.
That's
come
right.
on.
Verse 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock.
You see that? So that's the way the son could be if he go be taught properly and not be taught up under the woman's guidance of, you can have men be up on, how I said, men are beneath you. You don't respect male authorities, right? If you're doing these type of things, you're not going to be this wise man right here, right? Come on.
Verse 25, and the rain descended, and the floods came.
All your trials, come on.
And the winds blew and beat upon that house.
You're that house. Everything that is happening to you, you're taking it. All right, you're standing as a man. Come on.
And it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock.
You was found in keeping these commandments in the faith of Christ. Come on.
And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not,
and you're not keeping God's commandments, you're not raising your sons up, turning them over to the prophets. Come on.
shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
Right. When you're led and dependent, and mama, I'm hungry, and I was, depending on your mother like that, we got to come out of those traits. All right, we're gonna try to get a little bit more of this article real quick before we close out. Drop down to the part where it says the cuddling their sons, There you go. Come on, let's read this.
Coddling their sons.
Mm-hmm.
Single mothers are the biggest enablers of bad behavior in boys.
Dang.
When their sons
enable them with their bad behavior. Look at him. He's so cute, and he running around slapping people. He running around taking stuff, knocking stuff on the ground.
Oh my goodness.
The mothers mostly let them get away with these things. Mm-hmm. All right, come on.
When their sons do wrong, they make excuses for them. When they make mistakes in life, they blame others for doing wrong by their boy.
That means that they're not blaming their son for the wrong that he's doing. Well, why did you have it low where he could get to it? These are the traits that the mothers do. That's just an example. That's one example.
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Thanks to their coddling, their sons never grow up learning they have to take responsibility for their actions.
Wow.
Oftentimes, the sons of single mothers often grow up spoiled with a sense of entitlement and a belief that the world owes them something.
Wow, man. We got so much to cover on this, man. We ain't going to get it all. We ain't going to get it because it even talks about in this article. We might have to do a part 2 on this.
Let me get this last sentence.
Oh, one second. Because it talks about the boundaries. They don't teach them boundaries as well.
Right.
Because it's coddling, let them do what they want to do, but then they don't have no boundaries. So we're not going to get to that part. But go ahead, officer.
I was just going to get the last sentence.
Yes,
here.
sir.
That makes them impossible adults to deal with.
Okay, it makes them impossible to deal with.
Right.
So that's why I hate to say it. Sometimes in some cases, mental institutes.
Right.
Right. Erratic behavior.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They don't know how to discipline themselves.
Right.
It talks about discipline. The next one would have been discipline.
Right.
So different things that we didn't get into yet. I think we're gonna do. We're gonna teach on this next time. we're gonna pick back up on this. But before we close out, go to Proverbs 19:18. 19:18. All right. So we hope you guys got some out of this class today. Come on.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 18. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crime.
You see, that's what the women do. Oh, yeah. The single mothers allow this to happen. Mm-hmm. So if you hear this today and you're in that type of situation, you got a 1-year-old, 4-year-old, whatever he is, start applying the scriptures. Start applying the scriptures while he have hope, and so he won't grow up to be an adult who can't be tamed or that don't have discipline. Not tamed. Sorry about that.
I guarantee you, if you get them under control while they're a little child, when they get older, you won't have to worry about it.
Right, definitely.
You just give them a look and it'll be on.
Right, right. All praises. Like I said, I hope y'all got somebody this class today. Lord's will, we'll pick back up on it again the next time we on. So what we got up?
Let's make sure we continue to donate to the Booster Club. As you can see, leadership has a lot of exciting things that they're bringing out in IUIC.
Right.
So continue to send in your donations to the Booster Club. And also, here at IUIC Houston, we're trying to upgrade our tech department. So if you would like to contribute to IUIC.Houston at IsraelUnite.org, we'll be happy to
accept your donations.
To accept your funds, right.
All praises. Shout out to Jeremiah and Zaharia, Jotham. Even though I use my man Jotham today as an example. Hey, we appreciate you guys. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.